Alright, here's another episode of Closing Staff.
Hey,
how's it going, everyone? This is Trade Hold. I'm over here with Distro.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Distro.
And we have a special guest today, Perfect Survey. This was a store leader that I actually never personally worked with, but Distro worked with.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how he got into the store. First off, we closed up, and he just kind of crept his way in out of nowhere.
Now, he's got the authority. And he's got the charisma, too. He's just like, yeah, man, I'm part of this.
He's like, I'm a veteran, like, okay. Step aside.
Gee, I don't know, guys.
So without further ado, introduce yourself, Perfect Survey.
Hey, yeah, that's right, Perfect Survey, because that's what everybody should get when they give good service, right? If any of you guys have shopped at any of the GameStops and got really excellent service, and you didn't take the time to fill out that perfect survey, shame on you.
Yeah,
shame on you. Shame.
With the amount of things that happen in that store, you didn't give me a 10 out of 10. Shame.
Yeah, shame. And
I mean, it's one of those things where people just spend more time complaining than they do like giving a thumbs up. You do realize we get a lot more surveys about bad things happening than good service. So really, please give us those, or give the current workers them perfect surveys.
Oh, you don't even know. It goes miles. Like, I know good old Trade Hold alluded to here, but me and Perfect Survey, we did spend some years in the trenches together in the old store. And we saw what the old Perfect Survey could do for you. You know, anyone gives you a Perfect Survey consistently, it brings the regulars back. It brings the revenue into the store. It just builds a community.
And it recharges the batteries for all the workers in the store. I mean, we got to grind. We gotta grind.
Well, real quick, I also want to mention Cash Wrap couldn't make it with us today. He is sick at the moment, but
he ran out of HP.
Yeah.
You know,
He actually has the poison status ailment right now, but not the special kind. Apparently, at least not the moment.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have the really bad one. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't have the virus from the corona.
We're out of potions. We need to go back to the shop.
Well, we do have the specific topic. It's kind of been in the air for a bit. That's not a pun intended.
Right, but
not a good time. Too soon.
Hey, you know what? It's supposedly not an airborne virus. All right.
That's what they tell us now until it gets released, like the T virus.
Yeah, but we do have one of the subjects that we were going to talk about that actually happened right after we did our last recording was Reggie Fils-Aimé joining the GameStop board of directors.
Hey!
Yeah.
Good old Reggie.
And then we also have JK, that is the CEO of Petco, who also joined the board of directors.
JK Simmons. I was like, oh man.
Or JK from Jamiroquai.
Or JK Rowling, right? Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
All three on the board.
We're just kidding, yeah. So many possibilities. And there's someone else, Bill.
The Walmart.
Huh?
The Walmart person.
Was it Bill Simon or something
Bill,
like that?
you from Walmart, shout out. You know, thank you for taking that plunge into the company. So,
I think it's one of the funny things that we're going to talk about is that I'm seeing a lot of people who are just like, oh man, Reggie's already saving GameStop because they're doing the you have 48 hours after a game's release to return it, and I'm like, that's been going on for months.
Yeah, right.
But it's just funny how people are not really paying attention to any kind of GameStop deals because that has been going on for months, well before Reggie joined on the board. But what do you guys think about, Reggie being able to save GameStop because he is a board member? He's not actually...
He's not even really in there. It's kind of like what they say, like in the sports world, he's not a part of the actual sport operations.
Yeah.
He's not actually making the decisions that are going to affect the day-to-day. He's more so looking at the bigger picture kind of over there. And I love Reggie. Reggie is like,
Reggie's awesome.
Yeah, Reggie's awesome. So when I heard that, it got me super excited. But like you were saying, it's like, what is his real role how is his role going to impact the company?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it did a good job injecting some hype back in there. Making people think like, oh man, now I feel a little safer shopping with GameStop again because Reggie trusts them. Like, I'll trust Reggie. If he feels like there's something there, then I'll jump in there. But
that's the thing. That directly links to the fact that some people are thinking that whole 48-hour return thing is a Reggie decision. It's not. It's been there.
It's little stuff like that.
But now they're paying attention. They're like, now we got that.
Yeah, most people don't even realize it's sales. Like, not only do people look up the sales at all. I know even like some employees in the stores have a really hard time even like picking up some of the sales or like remembering all the little things that are happening. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a good point. A lot of people hear Reggie and automatically they're thinking like, the company's back.
Yeah, he's Mr. Launch It, right, from Nintendo, and I think he's starting on April 20th, if I'm not mistaken, because he's a big stoner. 420.
Yeah, right.
And Reggie being a spark plug, having a nice household Nintendo persona is going to revitalize GameStop's like image, right? Because
I think that's the main
image
thing.
is always being battered for many reasons, right? There's some truths behind it, but at the same time, it's like, gamers, a lot of them, especially certain generations, they come out the womb complaining, and that's all they do. They don't learn how to compliment. They play games. It's broke. This is whack.
This got to be nerfed.
Yeah. And they don't see all the energy and effort of the programmer. The project manager. Bless those guys because they got to pull everybody together to drive the project. Everything from the graphic designer, the musicians, and all that. So there's a lot of energy and effort into these games, only so that some whiner can complain about it in a matter of minutes. This took years to develop, right? Mm-hmm. So I think Reggie, with the launching of games, giving a good image, it's like an RPG, right? Have you ever played an RPG and then you get somebody to join the party and you're like, yes, I am going to crush it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's happening with Reggie.
It's like we finally have our mage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or we have the tank or something like that, right?
The meat shield.
The meat shield. Go over there and just take all of our damage.
Yeah. And then I think that's the meta for Reggie. He's pretty much the meat shield. He's going to be absorbing every
a lot of the BS.
Yeah, and he's done a well job for Nintendo. He's definitely a New Yorker, right? So he puts on a good show. Usually New Yorkers are very mean, and but he seems to be very nice. Like a lot of us are so fake. They'll go, "Hey, I like your shirt," and as soon as you walk away, I hate that guy's shirt.
I don't even like that game.
Right? So Reggie stands out. You can't teach height, even though I think he's like 6'2".
Oh, he's a tall dude. No, for sure.
Can't teach height. He really stands tall as far as his character, his person. And I think he's going to do a good job for GameStop. Let's see how GameStop takes advantage of it.
You see, who do you think called who? Do you think GameStop reached out to Reggie saying, like, hey, we need you? Like, would you be interested? Or do you think Reggie went out of his way to say, you know what, GameStop? Like, I'm coming to you.
GameStop had to have
reached out, pulled some strings or something, right?
They probably pulled on his pants sleeve as he was walking away from Nintendo because he said he was going to retire. Yeah. Right, and this is not a form of retirement.
Yeah, that was his thing. He said he was going to retire so he can enjoy games again and do all this stuff.
The thing is, since he's not directly actually, working with GameStop, corporate-wise, this might be his own personal retirement project to save GameStop because maybe
this is like his project card.
Like maybe it was just like, you know what, man, I liked GameStop when I was a kid. Why is it terrible right now? Like, I want to go and help them out. Maybe that could be the situation too, though. So, I can see that point of view where they probably reached out because they're desperate.
Hard workers don't ever want to retire. Yeah, so this might be a form of his retirement, but I'm sure GameStop.
Yeah, I'm sure GameStop said something. Like they're like, we need Reggie. Right. It's kind of like in the sports world too. Someone tries to retire, like, nope, you're coming to my team. How much money do you want?
Yeah, and they're very familiar with each other. He's done major launches with Nintendo. I think GameStop has, through the years,
still supported Nintendo through a lot.
Yeah, especially with all the oopsies, with early launches.
Oh, no, right? Yeah.
Unintentionally.
So those, yeah.
So they've salvaged it or kept a strong relationship. So I think he knows who he's working with. It's like joining a classroom and a few of your boys are in the class, so it's like, hey, I'm already comfortable. I don't have to make friends. Mm-hmm. I know the key players and the game, so let's play it. So we'll see how it goes. I think for him being a launch expert, I'd like to see his thoughts on how they're going to launch games, because you and I, Distro, we would launch some major games.
Oh yeah, we would launch those into space.
Crush. We would crush. Yeah. I mean, our regulars are even the community. Never witnessed such launches.
Yeah, no, right. That's true. It's like especially even after your tenure there, I kept that spirit alive going too. Especially with our launches, you got to keep that hype alive. Especially when people are coming into the stores, they want to see that. They want to see a community of people together. They want to see a tournament. They want to see giveaways. They want to see people having a good time. Those little kids that are sitting there and they're playing, they're smiling, and they feel like they're a part of something. They're gonna remember that.
Yeah.
That's something that you can't just get, you can, let's say, at home, but it's just not the same. It harkens it back, like I said, different generations of gamers.
Yeah.
Some newer gamers don't have that experience that we got when we were younger, where it's like, yeah, you're out there going to tourneys, playing next to somebody shoulder to shoulder. It makes it really cool, makes it really fun.
I think GameStop should treat every game launch the same way a person would win the lottery. So, like, if you won the lottery and you're like, I won the lottery, that's not the proper response, right? But if they're like, oh my gosh, I won,
right?
That's the spirit, that's the vibe, that's the attitude. And same with every game, especially if it's a hot title. I, for example, Cyberpunk 2077. Take your sweet time, CD Projekt Red, and when it does come out, give it some justice. I mean, golly, get Keanu Reeves to appear at a major,
like for real.
Transfer all the pre-orders to that store.
You're beautiful.
Right? That's how you launch it. And I think Reggie is the guy to approach Keanu Reeves and go, look, I'm launching this game. You're in it, by the way.
You see, that's another good point, too, as well.
Let's stage quite the event.
The fact that, let's say, hire, like, celebrities and stuff like that aren't necessarily into gaming as much as we are, can easily be like, oh, that's Reggie from Nintendo. Oh, he wants me to come do this? Yeah, like, let's go for it, like, right now. As opposed to them being like, who the hell is Paul Raines? R.I.P. But, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's that same kind of deal where it's just like, who are these people? Oh, no, that's Reggie. He has that, like I said, that welcoming presence, that, like, hey, come over and do this launch for us. And a lot of people want to stand behind him, want to help him out, too. Yeah. So that makes a good point. It's like, Keanu, why aren't you doing these things?
Yeah. Yeah, and instead of protect the family, like, we are family,
Yeah, right.
Make it a we are family.
So we can definitely get into all that, but the whole protect the family is it's a whole can of worms in itself.
It's a whole new rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's a whole new rabbit hole, yeah.
Mafia tactics.
We can get into protect the family if we want. Well, yeah, that's good points for sure.
So he hasn't actually joined the board yet. Is he actually going to be active from April 20th, or?
Yeah, I think come April 20th is where he actually is official. I'm sure there's a lot of pre-work, preparation, coordination in advance, and this might be because a little bit of the shutdowns going on, safer at homes, shelter in places.
Which actually goes into our other topic, which is the coronavirus and how GameStop has responded to COVID-19. But go on.
Yeah, we'll get there, and he's got to make his rounds. I believe there's a lot of preparation involved to get somebody, with that type of celebrity in the gaming industry and experience. You wouldn't want it to just be a knee-jerk reaction. You definitely want to coordinate and make sure he's on board properly.
Yeah.
Beyond the I-9 and W4.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was gonna say that's probably like I'm assuming that he's actually doing some like what's the word for it, consultation already. If they're actually going to him, it's just that he's not official yet. Is that
making agreements, probably negotiating a few things. I mean,
just tying up some loose ends before he starts hitting it hard.
There might be people that work for Reggie and that work for GameStop trying to onboard him that are in cahoots and coordinating. Whatever it is, the financial
talking.
Aspect, incentives and expectations. I mean, who knows if they're just spending a bunch of time typing up his job description.
Yeah, right? That's true. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how his impact's going to really affect the company.
Yeah. Well, do you have any predictions on what he might do as like board? That maybe he might, I mean, obviously he doesn't directly do anything.
Well, I have a few things I hope he doesn't do. One is I hope he doesn't sell nothing but Nintendo. Okay, those days are over. Okay.
Yeah, he's not a Nintendo boy no more.
Yeah, I don't want to see like little niche items like the NVIDIA Shield Portable not get marketed right. Or a bunch of other items
because we all know it wasn't.
Yeah, it totally wasn't. And other items, whether it be, the little side portables, little mini arcades, I mean, there's products that are really cool, but they're not being magnified, in the marketing realm.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say, too. I want to see it really affect the marketing.
Yeah.
See how he's going to improve this, like, boring cookie cutter, just, hey, this Sunday you get these new banners. Hey, Sunday you get this. Hey, Sunday you get that. Actually really kind of like invigorating the marketing at the stores, I
wonder if this is actually another reason why he decided to join, because he was very, like, I see Reggie as someone who actually just likes to game, but maybe not just Nintendo, but he has to only promote Nintendo because he was the face of Nintendo. So I wonder if this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, now I can just promote any game that I like and it doesn't have to be Nintendo. Well, so that could be the vice versa of what you're saying that might happen.
Yeah, I think some people, that get to taste everything, right? Meaning they have no budget, they can buy any game. Eventually they lose taste, right? There's a moment in time where we used to like scrounge for change and just get that $80 for the Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2 cartridge and appreciated it every single second because... Now,
you guys hear that? The $80 for Street Fighter cartridge?
Yeah, for the NES. I mean, there's people out there, they can afford everything. DLC, pre-ordered, whatever. They just throw their money at it.
Pass,
Now, the reason why I emphasize on that is because people are complaining about the $60 still, because there was at a point where games went down to $50 and then they rose back to $60 and people complained about it. Gamers complain about it, whine about it, and that's why it's been staying at $60. But games cost more to develop now, and that's why they're trying to tack on like DLCs and stuff like that because then they make more money off of it.
Yeah.
And back in the day, Street Fighter, $80.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
Well, Reggie being able to be showered just like anybody else in GameStop with all the games, right? Might lose taste because they get to taste everything. So I'm saying if he does it right, he'll make sure people that don't have the opportunity to play whatever game they want, create incentives to, forget the $25 gift card on the Perfect Survey. You get to win a free game and, rotate a free game every month for every home store. It's just pennies on a dollar.
It's the experience,
Yeah.
And then
basically get off that penny pinching mentality that GameStop tends to be on when it comes to corporate.
Yeah, so don't rely on their taste, because they're not the consumer. They're the promoter. They're the business that's trying to, do what? Give the blood god as much blood as they can. So
yeah, right.
And how much blood can the blood god have?
Oh, never enough. One thing too I like about Reggie, at least I can appreciate, is he's not coming from this outside place like, let's say, no offense to anybody, but just like from Home Depot or from Staples or any of these like weird places. He's actually coming from Nintendo, like some place that's actually from gaming.
Well, he's joining the board with other people that are from those other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But hopefully he'll be able to give that perspective. Because
I named J.K. from PetSmart.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling from Harry Potter, PetSmart. And I've never read a book, by the way. So I probably would have any references go over my head. I've seen the first movie.
That being said.
Yeah. But
which one? Which movie?
Prisoner of Azkaban?
Oh my god, stop. All right.
Oh, you mean a Harry Potter movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
No worries. Anyways. Wait, was that Was that some kind of stone too?
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, and then there's Bill Simon from somewhere else, but we focus on Reggie because he's from a gaming company, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, he has his feet wet in this business. I think with Bill from Walmart, I think it's more scale. Who knows if he's going to be focused on the everything from planning to the inventory, and who knows if they slap the PetSmart person with Nintendogs.
Yeah, right. Yeah. For
maybe he came because he worked with Reggie before on Nintendogs.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
this funny. Could end up in being a nightmare, right? Reggie takes over GameStop. It actually becomes Nintendo shops.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for real. That was their main thing.
Take heed, Sony. You heard it first.
What if it was what if it became like a Nintendo dog cafe?
What? Sadly, I would be there.
That would be
interesting.
That would make money.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
You heard it here first. We're going to trademark it.
I heard that's a great idea to pick up on chicks. I mean,
no, of course, yeah. You got a cute dog, you got Nintendo. That's all you need.
Screw dating apps. I'm going to the Nintendo shop.
So that's funny. So before we
what
actually go into, we go off on tangents all the time with this. Well, speaking of Sony, did you guys actually watch the tech demo, or not the tech demo, but the deep dive for the PS5 at all?
So I was gonna start watching it, but then I saw it like as you know, like I was at work and I started seeing like all the different memes and stuff that were popping up. Just people were just bashing on it.
Yeah,
you know. And I was starting to realize like, why is there so much all of a sudden negativity and all this like hate just right off the bat too? And like I didn't have time to watch it, but at some point I'm like, oh man, am I just gonna be like watching something and like just seeing all the comments pop up where it's just like live stream, you know?
I actually watched it when they live streamed it and I turned off the chat.
So I was gonna go through and actually just see the highlights and really get the specifications, what they were talking about, what they're doing, and I heard they were more so talking about the experience of like what it's gonna do and like they're talking about the specs just a little bit. Or?
They talked a lot about the architecture.
Okay.
Yeah. And so one of the main complaints was the fact that. And I kind of blame the media journalists about this because they kept spreading or writing articles about how this is going to be the PS5 review. The thing about this was that it was actually what they were going to do at GDC that they canceled, and so they moved it to this. So it is just all architecture. No, they didn't say it was going to be a review. Everyone assumed it was going to be a PS5.
Yeah, that's why I heard everyone was like, "Oh, it's not a solid reveal. Like, what is this?" You know?
Yeah. So it was a lot about it was very techie talk. And I enjoyed it, but that's because I went in knowing, I wouldn't say I didn't know, but I would just say that I didn't expect a PS5 review. I expected them to talk techie stuff. Mm-hmm. And Mark Cerny was very detailed, like in a mainstream way to try to make everyone understand, even if you're like a consumer, so how the specs will work together. Because anyone who goes in and just looks straight specs that they dropped, will probably compare it to the Series X and go, oh, it's not as strong. But if you actually go listen to what Mark Cerny says about how the architecture works together, how developers can use the system so that they don't have to worry about like install and caching and stuff like that, so that they can design their games to be streamlined and like without loading. Yeah, that's all the stuff that's the way that he explains it. Is way for you to follow it to say, oh, okay. So even if the specs,
digestible, you know?
So even if the raw specs aren't as strong as the Series X, it can actually perform better because they're being efficient about how it works together. Yeah,
I can see that. It's kind of like when they had their PS4 review years ago,
So
and everyone's just like, they just talked about how it's a stack. You know, like they only talked about how it looks and stuff. You know, it's like there's always gonna be something to complain about.
Yeah.
It's like
so I feel like if you actually watched it, it's a it's like a pre-rebuttal for people who go out later on that goes, oh, they revealed this spec and it's not as strong as this one. And I'm not trying to put down the Series X because I'm down for it. I think I'm the only one who didn't joke to call it a trash can. And I'm like, I understand the design of it. I'm down with it.
It's like speaking of design, I'd like to say, Sony, feed your design team. Because the PS4 looks like a sandwich, right? And now the PS4 looks like or PS5 looks like a hamburger. It's like, they're screaming, "Feed me!" Free lunches like Google or something. I mean, golly,
something. No, man. That's the point too. Is like, all these different things. People are quarantined right now. You know, it's like people should just be looking up these specs and really trying to get down and see exactly what these different consoles do.
Yeah.
Realistically, because I still need to sit down and really see exactly what they're offering me. But I usually don't like looking into it until right about they have both consoles fully revealed. Everything is out. They already talk about what they're planning on doing as far as game lineups right off the bat.
Honestly, it's always really just the games that sell the system.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, too, like if you got to sell me with what you're planning at launch, because how many times have we seen weak launches from these consoles where you're like, the console's so powerful and so awesome and does all these crazy things, but where are my freaking games for it?
Hey, we talked about it last time, what games we thought would be releasing on launch. And
right?
If it actually happens, which I think we mentioned Spider-Man 2, God of War 2, Horizon
Zero Dawn 2, stuff like that.
And then there was another one. What was it? Oh, yeah, The Order.
Like an Order 18, or was this, The Order sequel, basically.
Yeah, and then there was I think there was another one too, but if they had all of these at launch, that's just gonna wreck.
Yeah, right, and that'd be great too as well, especially with if they add the backwards compatibility they've been talking to, where people can still play Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh yeah,
play all these different games.
They already confirmed backwards compatibility with PS4.
They said about 100 around.
Oh no, that's a lot of misquoting. They said that their priority is going to be the top 100 games, but they already said somewhere around 4,000 that they're expecting to add from the PS4 library.
Yeah, come launch, right? They'll have at least 100, but then through time,
they're going to patch it. So it's basically kind of like how Xbox has been doing it. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're modeling off of it, and it's PS5 because it's $500, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So
watch it. Do you think it's
this
gonna be
holiday
$500? Like, how much did the Xbox One sell when it launched? Wasn't it like 600? $599?
No, I think it was
because it came with the Kinect.
I think it was 500 and PS4 was 400. If I
wasn't the whole
right.
thing? The price was $100 more because it comes with the Kinect, right?
Yeah,
or like
probably.
what was the whole thing? Because you had to get the Kinect with it when at launch when it came out. It was all bundled together.
Touchless play, that was a pretty cool thing. You know, I still think the Kinect was.
I used the Kinect a lot.
Creation.
Yeah, I had no problem
Even
with the Kinect. It just didn't have that many games.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Kinect as far as gaming
was
goes,
not good enough.
yeah, boo. All they had is what, Star Wars lightsabers or whatever it was. Like, that was pretty much it. But I digress. I use it for mainly turning my Xbox on and off, switching through apps, volume, like all that stuff. You can just say it just by yelling at it, and it's good.
Yeah. You had the Star Trek command at the bridge kind of like technology.
Yeah, right? No,
exactly. Command by voice. But yeah, the PS3, I remember the backwards compatible. The 4 USB port looked like a George Foreman
grill.
With an extra controller and Dead Space when that game came out, right? Dead Space 1.
Nice,
yeah. That was at least a good $700.
Really? Damn.
Yeah, so
because they were saying it's like, it's a Blu-ray player too.
It launched at $600.
Yeah.
I remember because it was the same price as the iPhone, and they launched around close to the same time, and people said, "Oh no way, $600 for a gaming system."
But my whole thing is like to Perfect Survey's point too. You still have to pay for another controller. You still have to get the game, and you stack that on there. It's like,
yeah. But then you can also say almost the same thing with the Xbox 360. How much you have to stack on that? But
that's true too.
The good thing about it, though,
you gotta get memory and like, oh man,
yeah. The thing about the Xbox 360 though was a lot of it was optional, but at the same time it wasn't. It's like you can get a hard drive, but you need the hard drive.
Oh, by the way, you need a Wi-Fi adapter too.
Yep, you need the Wi-Fi adapter.
You
need the charging cable. You need the charger for the controller.
That's what Apple does with their accessories.
Yeah, that's what Nintendo did too. Actually,
yeah, Nintendo did.
Nintendo's done it several times.
And my point with the PS3 was, unlike other PlayStations, right? You could actually load movies onto it, right?
Oh,
music onto it. You actually had a media player, like in your. I mean, I still have mine. I'll never part with it. I slapped a solid state drive in it,
Oh, nice. There you go, yeah.
And I just a few days ago, I watched Grandma's Boy on it.
Oh, nice.
Because people were like, "What is that?" I go, "Dude, that's the PS3. You don't remember that one?" "Oh, I had the Slim. I never seen that one."
Oh,
I'm like, "This is the backwards compatible one."
Was it the 80 gig or the 60 gig?
It was 80.
The 80?
Yeah. Now it's got a 120.
Nice.
And I was playing some PS2 games off of that.
Nice.
That's what you need, yeah.
And from what I understand, PS1 games can work on like the PS3 non-backwards compatible, but PS2 games won't. You have to have the PS3 backwards compatible to do 2 and 1.
There was only 3 models. And the 80 gig was the software emulation version, and the 60 and the 20 gig were the Emotion Engine chip that actually did it. And so I think the 60 gig actually would run it better, if I remember right. But
yeah, there's something about those where they were saying like there was one that was the prime one to get. It's like either the 60 or the 80.
Yeah. You definitely go for a 60 or 80 because I think the 20 gig didn't actually even have
the 20 Wi-Fi. The 20 gig, you couldn't do crap with. That thing was basically like if you got the 360 vanilla, you had to get a bunch of other attachments.
That was the budgeters version.
And the uninformed parents, right? The uninformed parents or the parents that didn't give a shit about their kids.
You know how many parents like get mad at me because they'd be like, "I want the one that says $60 in front." I'm like, but if you get that one, you realize it's only going to come with like no games, one controller, no memory, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. Like you have to get the adapter, get this, you have to get that. It's just like, what game are you playing, dude? Like, what are you trying to do? Swindle me? Like, why are you selling me an incomplete machine? I'm like, that's not me, man.
Yeah.
And they get super
I'm
upset.
sorry, come back in next year. I'm going to make one that's complete. Yeah. I'm just going to go in the back room. Put one together.
Yeah, exactly. But like even then, like you show them, it's like you can spend $40 more and get the actual complete system, but then most times there's like, they don't want to hear it. It's like I said, they don't even care enough to even like bother with what memory means. They just get the console, give it to their kid, and they're just like, have fun.
And see, that's a lot of the comments you see when watching the PS5 that I saw. That just everyone's like, this is boring. I don't want to care. I don't care about all this stuff, and they don't care because I'm like, this is not actually for consumers. This was not made for consumers. It was
more for like developers and everything else.
But it was just because media outlets, or not media outlets, but like the media and like journalists had just headlined PS5 review, and so it spread to a whole bunch of consumers that this was not for. So yeah, and they plan for something else in the future. I think it's supposed to be sometime within the next month, or within the month that will be actually for consumers. But anyways, probably get back on topic. Now, honestly, when you guys brought up Sony, I was gonna talk about something else, but I don't remember what it was, so I went straight to the PS5.
Hey, we good segue.
Yeah.
No, with that being said, we still haven't touched on our second topic at all too much either.
Yeah.
You know, the whole reaction of how all GameStop's been taking their stance on COVID and all the different ways they've been kind of communicating it to their employees and to their staff from the higher ups,
exactly,
from the corporate level down. And from what I was reading at first, I kind of thought it was kind of like a joke. Because, people post up those funny kind of,
the memes.
The little memes just kind of roasting GameStop, and it's something ridiculous, and you're like, oh, they're just joking around. But then I was hearing, what they're really talking about, apparently a lot of store managers called out and reached out to places like Polygon, Kotaku, and, all these places to express their concerns.
Yeah.
Pretty much saying that, they're taking, just a really, just a, let's say, interesting stance with their mindset.
Yeah. Which is funny because they reach out anonymously because they're afraid of retaliation. Yeah. And that's why we're all under aliases here, even though we're not part of it anymore.
What do you mean? My real name is Perfect and Survey.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Perfect. Everyone knows who Perfect Survey is.
Last name Service.
But so they had classified themselves as essential business because they sold electronics, or that's what they were claiming. And I mean,
see, the way I was hearing it too is they were writing it. It's they're essential because they're providing people a service for when they are basically in quarantine or when they're out of work.
Working from home.
They're saying because I remember the way we would put it. I was in a cliche way. Yeah, this is some people's medicine. Yeah, some people stress out. This is how they go home and de-stress. Mm-hmm. These are these people's getaways from their everyday just struggles and things that are going on. But when you have to really think about what's quote unquote essential, and really think about what goes on through your business too as well. You're providing these people a good source of distraction and stuff like that, but how are you putting your employees at risk? How is this really affecting
it's a
ground
real
level,
pandemic. I mean, you look at what's happening around the world, and do we want to be like South Korea or do we want to be like Italy, right? Mm-hmm. And those are the both, and the whole spectrum, that's both ends, right? And where are we in, as a corporate retailer, right? They're well versed in sales, right? We all know the HR process is minimalist at best. Right? And if there is any effort, from the HR side of things in the company, it's in favor of the company.
Yeah,
there's really very little moments of support, towards the employee, unless the employee has a really good case, right? Mm-hmm. And they're just hey,
they'll come into your store holding hands.
Yeah, and so it's a time of crisis where we've never been under a state of emergency since World War II, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me, any war vets out there. And the government is in control, and we all know from a political standpoint how intellectual our government is, right? I mean, some of them have a really strong social media game,
right?
Pretty impressive, but everywhere else it's disappointing. So, there's a process, and it starts with everybody, people at the stores, even the customers, right? They need to come in wearing masks, not because they're afraid the employee is going to have it, but in case they have it and they don't know and they don't want to give it to the employee.
So many times we've gotten just a gnarly trade where you're looking down and you're like, what has this thing been through? How many times has it been sneezed on? And you see stuff and you're like, oh man. And you've seen plenty of people
cough on it before you traded this in,
I remember someone traded this game, it's what is that? Oh, sorry, katsu sauce. They're wiping it off. I'm like, what? Yeah,
ew.
Yeah, what I mean? So I can only imagine now, with you said, a pandemic going on,
Yeah, and it starts with the individual, right? You got to take care of yourself, right? If you're not sleeping right, not hydrating, not staying healthy, right? Let's say you're playing games all night, and we've all guilty of this, you got an opening shift, you got to open the store around 9, and you ended up playing that game until 6:30, and you said, oh my gosh, I
made it right to the boss fight, and you're I had to fight him at least a few times, which turns into the whole night.
Right? Yeah, so you got to take care of yourself first, right? You got to broadcast to everybody. But even when you're on those calls, right, you got people that already have an agenda made up. Mm-hmm. You weren't involved in this agenda. They're going to run through that agenda. You got to be able to use the the internal email, send out an email to corporate. You got to talk to your district leader. You got to swim up the chain. Contact HR. If you have concerns about your health, what are you doing? Just call in sick. Mm-hmm. Stay home. Hey, I'm not coming in. I feel woozy. I don't know if I have it, and I don't want to be a threat to the customers or my coworkers. But yeah, I can see why GameStop would say, hey, we're providing an essential service, right? Yeah, because I think all of us that have worked in the stores found ourselves being therapists,
Oh, plenty of times, yeah.
Not the rapists, therapists, right? And we're like curing the mentally sick, by recommending games or even just giving the antisocial
just
a conversation,
yeah.
And that's why they come back. It's like, I feel, visible. Here, I'm not the best person on social media or, talking to people. But when I come here, I feel like I have a friend I can count on. They're not going to steer me wrong with whatever game. And, I have a sanctuary I can go to in this whole chaotic world. So I get that part too. But, what is the most important? People's health, people stopping it from spreading, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm glad they're able to shut it down. And take a pause. And I think somewhere down the line, they're going to have to think things through, whether it's like Starbucks model, where they close the shop, but they're taking online orders and handing it out to the door.
I was going to say, Best Buy actually has a curbside pickup. That's how they're doing it.
Yeah. So you got to make adjustments. And have they ever had to make these adjustments? Heck, all of us across the globe are making adjustments, and we weren't ready for this,
Yeah, right.
We have idiots in, freaking Florida, spring break-in.
Like,
right?
yeah.
Like this has been going down.
who just took it like whatever. It's just we're young, we can survive this, and trying to take drinks while they're bent over.
Like I always said too, stuff like no matter what you believe in, even if you feel super strong that you're not going to get it and that you're going to die, whatever your main mindset may be, just don't project that on somebody else in a negative way. Don't put somebody else at risk that may be super, that may not think the same way as you do, because at the same time, it is a it's a global thing. This isn't something that's just small, where it's just happening in one state or two states. It's happening everywhere. This dialogue's being talked about through everybody. So
even if you don't believe it's something like, oh, it's not that serious, young people aren't really dying from it. Well, first of all, I think that's a misconception. I think they actually released an article that said 40% or something like that of those affected are between 20 and 54. So young people are definitely affected. It is rough because there's no real cure for it yet. Some people do get over it, but when you're under it, like, people have trouble breathing, coughing blood, stuff like that. So, I mean, even if you're thinking, oh, I'm young, I'll get over it, it's this whole thing right now is to prevent spreading, not the fact that, it's not, the quarantine isn't just so, like, people are panicking because, oh man, this is going to kill us all. No, it's about not spreading it. And
you're taking precautions ahead of time.
2-week incubation period to see. I think, GameStop, though, should definitely step back, slap themselves, and remind them the most important thing they have. It isn't their brand. It isn't the products. It's the people in the stores that are helping the people that come to those stores.
People in the trenches, Oh,
yeah. And if anything, too, if some people are like, hey, look, I'm willing to work under these terms. Accommodations can be made. And, it's like the grocery store people, right? Yeah,
because we understand, at this time it's more or less like losing your job that you have to shut down for so long because they don't really have, some businesses don't have any set of way of compensating you, and then you still have bills to pay.
Right? I still though compliment them, for whoever did go willingly, right? There's a few, I can't say their names, but thank you for my Doom collectors. It's a badass game.
So I heard too as well that they're making that funny joke. They're just like, oh yeah, GameStop, of course. They didn't want to shut down because they were waiting for Doom and Animal Crossing to come out. As soon as those two games came out, they're like, yep, we can close doors.
Who knows? There might be some reality to that.
But not until we have Doom and Animal Crossing coming out. Because could you imagine that if they just shut stores down like right when a major game like Animal Crossing was about to drop? Like especially a AAA title like that, honestly, from like Nintendo.
Right now, even right now, Amazon's getting hit by Animal Crossing because people can't wait. They're just like, oh,
right?
Their games, like some people got it on time, but there are others who are like, oh, it's going to be delayed. They're like, oh, I can't wait. Canceled at Amazon, bought it digital. Well, I know so many friends that did that.
Yeah, and GameStop has ship from store, right? And, there might be some shipping methods they can look into, and they don't have to risk the health of their employees.
That's true.
To still service their...
And still provide their pre-orders out to,
absolutely.
Like for people,
There should have been a broadcast communication to everybody, hey, and during this time we're going to make adjustments.
There may be a delay or two, please be patient, as opposed to just, nope, we're closing doors.
But it's all knee-jerk reaction. Like I said, this is evidence that their HR game, right, is lacking at best. So.
I mean, they had made public statements saying there are cleaning supplies, but employees were saying there aren't cleaning supplies. They did not receive any.
Yeah, cleaning supplies. Yeah,
there are. How many cleaning supplies? I remember when set off that was it a roach trap? Inside one of the stores, an accident in the back room. Oh man. It's like, we won't say exactly where because of what happened, but it's like we want to talk about cleanliness in those stores,
So,
we've all ran through and tried to deep clean, but a deep clean is never enough.
Oh man, I remember a trade-in, and we were wondering where all these roaches were coming from. We were thinking it was from neighboring restaurants.
Oh man,
but lo and behold, it was from a PS3 that got traded in with roach eggs all up in it.
Yeah, going back to our side tangent there, your beloved PS3, the big one looked at the Form and Grow, we used to call that the Roach Hotel.
Yeah,
because those things, like, if they get warm enough and there's enough space in there, like, roaches can thrive.
I've seen it,
I think
I've seen it happen too.
Yeah, no,
not mine either. I'm saying I've seen it happen.
But if you lead it somewhere where it's gonna just not be touched forever and it's really gross, be prepared for roaches.
I've seen it actually happen with 360s and PS2s as well. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I hate to let you guys know, but there may be roaches in your local GameStop. But
surprise. But for those that were working, and not
major
in fear,
props.
Major props. Thank you for helping out
for sure.
everybody. I mean, there's so many people that are actually cured from their cabin fever, working from home. Not going to kill a bunch of people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And this goes out to everybody else too, like the grocery store workers. I mean, those are like the unsung heroes right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an essential business, but you're kind of handcuffed, right? Putting yourself at risk with all the traffic.
I mean, the grocery store workers right now are like celebrities almost. Like, one of my sisters went to shop because we're shopping for our parents right now because, senior citizens, even though a lot of the grocery stores have that, 8 to 9 senior citizens only deal. We're just like, no, we'll go shop for you. She's trying to just buy like bacon, if I remember right, and they're like, oh no, this is only at this time, so she's waiting around, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't have it out in stock yet, and the person who's carrying the cart, as soon as they're ready, he's carrying the cart out, and it's like 20 people just flood him just trying to get it.
And it's like those Costco videos where they literally just roll the pallet out and then just let it roll and then people just like swarm on it, they're just like raw.
Yeah, I hope those people are swarming to help others. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and I think it's sickening to see people hoard and just like every man for themselves. You know what I mean? Look, if you are in a good situation, start helping others. This is the time.
Well, what do you think about those resellers? Have you seen the stuff about
price gougers?
Yeah, price gougers. Basically, well, the thing is, their defensive stance, quote unquote, is that they're providing a service because technically hand sanitizers do have alcohol in them, so they cost more to ship. But then they're talking about it's like on the low end, $16 extra on what they bought. Not even 16. It's $16. That's not even profit because they would buy like $1.
Where's the source? They're getting it from. They're ordering.
But that's what I'm saying. Like some of them bought them from like dollar places. Okay, like Dollar Tree and stuff like that, and then they're selling it for $20 on the low end.
Well, yeah, no, that's horrible. So Dollar Tree is the one providing the service. The stores that these price gougers are buying, that is the place providing the service. They're actually stealing the service. Yeah, and for their own personal gain, and then they want to convince themselves they're doing good work. And I'll tell you what, though, the Lord works in mysterious ways. This guy bought a ton of toilet paper, right? I think it was like $1,700K. You hear that story?
17,000?
Yeah.
No, that's actually the hand sanitizer guy.
Oh, hand sanitizer, not toilet paper. Yeah. And then what happened? Like, even his
Amazon
lawyer was
shut him
like,
down.
he had to donate it, right, to avoid hefty fines. If this is a true story, I loved it. One of my friends was telling me about it, and I said, "Hey, he went from the to the hero unintentionally."
Because the stance he had was that he was providing service because some of these places are out of the way, and I'm just like, people can drive there. If
Who says he's in the way? You know what?
Yeah.
Whoever this guy is, you're a piece of okay? Step back, slap yourself. If you want to really help others and provide a service, and you got all this hot items in your inventory, go out and give it to people. Go help others. You know, it looks like you got plenty of hand sanitizer. And believe me, money is a byproduct of doing something good, something great.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, like when you're looking at it, he had already profited a ton of it, and then Amazon shut him down, and so he's like, I have 17,000 hand sanitizer that I don't know what to do with. And it's like, this is not my fault. I was going around shopping everywhere, and it costs more to ship it because it's alcohol. I'm like, dude, you just said you profited off of it.
Well, we could step back too, and and again, not everyone was ready for this.
Yeah.
So the people that worked at the stores should have said, "No, buddy, that's way too much." I'm not going to ring you up for a full cart of hand sanitizer.
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
There's going to be other people that are going to want this.
There's a limit.
So there's a limit. So, whether people weren't well versed and prepared for that, or they were allowing it, shame on them.
The thing about that too is that it's a policy thing, because if they weren't, like, some of these businesses obviously were not prepared for it, there's no policy on a limit. And so they can't say anything as someone on the lower rung that, oh, no, you can't buy all this. And because the customer can just say, oh, I can't. You don't have a policy or a limit on this, So they have to put something out afterwards.
Yeah, just pay attention. In a time of crisis, you're going to see people that are going to rise up to be heroes, and then people that are just going to step back and be, low, good for nothings. So,
see, like, to Perfect Survey's point, like, you do have those people that are hoarding and thinking about themselves. And then I remember a long time ago, I saw this one meme. It was this guy dressed up like Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z, and paid for everybody in Walmart's groceries that were coming up. He literally paid everybody's groceries that were in line, like, setting up, right? And he was like a hero, and he was just standing there.
That's a hardcore hero right there.
Yeah, right? Yeah, he's dressed like Piccolo, and he wore the cape and everything, like the
That's
full
a hero
cosplay.
with the cape.
And I'm just like, this guy might be tripping or something, or who knows, but he's out there doing good deeds, So what stops somebody from just as simple as that, saying like, hey, I'm buying this cart of hand sanitizer for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I already have my stock, but this is going to be the, like, what I provide for the people. Stuff like that, so that everyone can feel like, hey, you know what? We're in this together.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it is a community. We have to make sure that we're taking care of each other.
Yeah.
It starts with yourself.
It starts with yourself.
Your home. If you're not alone, and then it starts with each and every household member with their close circle, and then their communities, and there's no control in some areas, but there's some areas we can, and there's that old saying, right? Some things you just can't prevent, but you can reduce. So, we got to do what we can to reduce. And I think, GameStop staying open didn't look at the reduction of exposure, right? But at the same time, there was some good behind it, but there's never any good putting people in risk.
Health risks.
Yeah. I mean, it starts with the individual first.
Now, did you guys go to any of the local GameStops during this time?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you did because Doom Eternal.
I had no choice.
I have not.
Doom collectors.
Yeah, right. Doom
collectors.
My thing is, I haven't been in a GameStop. What was the last game that I picked up at GameStop? I think it was Kakarot.
I was gonna say, was it Dragon Ball Kakarot?
I think it was Dragon Ball Kakarot, but I didn't even buy it. I think because I went in there and they were badgering me with that holiday bag. So then I ended up just going home and buying it digitally. I'm sorry. But, But it was I think it was last time I was in a GameStop. But even then, too, is when we were talking about, like, this whole, that was around the time they were struggling with their holiday sales. Like, they were dipping in their stocks. Like,
yeah. Well, you know what? I went to two different ones. And actually, one of them was actually closed. And I'm like, okay, understandable. I was trying to move pre-orders. And I'm like, that makes sense. You guys shouldn't be open. But I went to another one, and they were open. And the only reason why I bothered checking was because I saw that whole thing about how they considered themselves essential and was still open. Mm-hmm. And so when I went to the other one, they were still open. I talked to some of the employees like in there. I'm like, what do you guys think about being open? Like, oh no, we don't want to be here. But corporates told us like what had happened was they shut down the day before. Like they worked up to a certain point, and the police came in, local authority, and said, hey, not essential business, shut down. So they did. But they received contact from, higher up GameStop that said, well, did they find you? They said, well, they will find us next time. That's what they told us. They just gave us a warning.
They're like, they'll open back up.
Exactly. Corporate told them, okay, you didn't get fined, open back up.
You see, too, again, like another point we made earlier, it just shows how strong their HR, their stance is to where now, they don't even have an answer to, let's say, the authorities coming in. There's no formal notice that you can post on the door or like anything like that.
Yeah, and it's Texas corporate, right?
Yeah.
So, and if any of you guys are familiar with businesses that have a corporation headquarters in Texas, all they do is they give you fancy sayings, right? Like catchy sayings. And then they let you at it, right? Mm-hmm. And then if there's anything that they see ain't right, that's the focus. They'll never ever look into, hey, are you good? Is the business good? Yeah. Are you driving the business? So disconnect. State goes on an early shutdown, right? And now Safer at Home, and then Texas corporate is like, well, this is bad for business. No, we're in Texas, and we need the money. Because we got to buy some tigers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I need a tiger for my ranch.
I was actually talking to my buddy. We've talked about multiple times how we would probably have him as a guest here. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll refer to him as Funkoland because he used to work at Funkoland and transitioned into GameStop. But he has this theory, which could be possible, considering the type of business GameStop is, that have you heard of what Vince McMahon was doing with WWE?
No.
So he was
steroids.
Yeah, right. Yes.
So he was actually still saying open for business. Quote, just basically paraphrasing it, that still open for business type of thing until he got shut down. And it turns out he did it intentionally because if he was forcibly shut down, insurance takes care of it. And so my buddy Funkoland saying maybe GameStop was aiming for a forcible shutdown so that they can have insurance financially back them on this. So
they were banking on the insurance money, and they were banking on Animal Crossing.
Now I will say that usually we don't agree with a lot of what corporate does when it comes to their penny pinching ways, but that sometimes you're like, why would you do that? But at the same time, it seems like when it comes to money, sometimes you really know what they're doing. Like when it comes to money for themselves. So I wouldn't put it like past them if that was their goal, was to try to get forcibly shut down, so that insurance would cover it.
Yeah, major corporations, business owners, they have a lot of things to worry about, right? Mm-hmm. We look at P&Ls and we get a glance at what they're looking at, but there's way more to it. So, there's times where you do have to pinch pennies in order to keep jobs.
Yeah.
But you can never compromise safety, security, or health of others. I remember there were times where we had active shooters in and out, and they did an okay job getting the run, fight, or flight, or whatever, or what was it?
It was
hide, fight, or flight.
Yeah, hide, fight, or flight. Yeah, because I remember even like
catchy sayings. I'm telling you, catchy sayings.
There was one time where me and a Perfect Survey opened up the store, and literally the one of the managers from one of the food places, maybe 2 spots down from us, told us that they were literally held at gunpoint. Put in their freezer, remember that? Yeah, he was just like, I just want to let you guys know because that literally just happened, and you guys are our neighbors. And we're like, oh man, really?
No.
I think didn't we ever talk about how I was in a GameStop that got robbed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
with yours too. So you're definitely in situations like that as well.
Yeah, and how was that handled? Right?
Well,
is the business okay? All right, good.
Well, you know what? I can't comment on that because I wasn't an employee at the time. I was actually at a local GameStop. This was years before I ever worked at one. But my buddy worked at it, and there was only 5 of us. It was like late at night, and there was 3 people that came in, and I thought it was a joke. I think we've talked about this already, but I thought it was a joke. So I was just like, I was the only one still standing, and I couldn't see the entrance because the gondolas were in the way, and so I saw someone coming in with a bandana. Again, still thought it was a joke. The second person, though, that came in was holding a shotgun, and that was just when I was just like, I don't care if this is a joke. I'm down on the floor right now. But yeah, I don't know how things were handled with with that store afterwards.
It's probably the same thing. Like I'd always put my employees in that situation where I'd be like, what would you do if this happened and I was at the register and you were in the back room or like this stuff like that? And all the answers they would say, like you're saying, yeah, run, hide, flight. Yeah, what is it? Just
hide, fight, or flight.
Hide, fight, or flight. Basically hide in the back room if you can't. Like run if you're able to, fight if you need to.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm just like,
it's crazy. And then you report it to like LP or whatever. And
yeah, right.
It'd be like, is anything missing? Look, buddy. We're alive.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Increase security presence here. Call the local authorities. Sometimes you had to really manage it on your own and like notify the police yourself. And
sure, even situations too where we'd have the local, like let's say the homeless, our local regulars that would come in and cause some ruckus, or they come in and try to like do some things that weren't as savory as we would like, but having to deal with those situations too as well. You kind of learn how to deal with everything.
Oh yeah, and you said it is an unsavory type of business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh man, it's interesting though. It's like now they finally decided to just say, you know what, we're closing.
Well,
but after the backlash,
after the whole backlash because they went out in the media.
Because now it looks bad, so where it's just like, oh, they probably closed because of the backlash, even if they weren't planning or if they were planning on closing already.
Yeah,
it's just bad marketing now. Now it's like, oh,
there's too much eyes on you.
You took too long.
It is a very strange times, right? It's a very new thing a lot of people are experiencing, but, there's nothing new to safeguarding your people, and, you can't compromise that for what it's worth. I think even Starbucks, as big as a corporation as they are, they needed time to process too. Mm-hmm. And shortly after the weekend passed, on that very Monday, and they were like, all right, the stores are closed to the public. We could take online orders. I mean, it could have been a simple adjustment like that too, right away, but it wasn't. And I think somewhere down the line, there could have been a store leader or two that could have said, "Fuck this! I'm shutting the store down to the public."
Mm-hmm. Which could have been one of the other stores I went to that was closed. I was like, okay, that's understandable.
Yeah, I manage this store, and I'm going to safeguard my staff. I'm not going to whine about corporate.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the brunt of it. And, if I have any, and I'll hang out in the store. And if I have any customers coming up to pick up stuff, I can do everything, from the door.
Yeah.
Except trades. And,
right. Except all that stuff.
It's a fully pre-ordered, paid pre-order, and then here, pull it, boom, there you go.
See, that makes a good point. Yeah,
just use the online store.
Receipt, real quick. Yeah, pre-order. Right, hold on, let me finalize it real quick. Yeah, get a system going. Like just have maybe like your GA at the door. You're running the reg. It's just stuff like that.
So pointing fingers never works, but together, everybody's got to work together. So if you're a district leader, you have to be the caveat, the conductor between, store staff, right, and the corporate, I guess regional directors, right? Mm-hmm. Regional directors to, the board of directors. It takes a village, and I think there was just so many people just really not showing leadership in their roles, whether it be the HR side of things. I mean, we've all heard that, Canadian conference call, eh? No. Have you heard that one? Oh my gosh. I love you Canadians, but god dang, that GameStop conference call, what are you guys doing? There was a few good questions being answered that showed some level of intelligence, right? But yeah, it was just like, I was dumbfounded by like people that were running the call,
Yeah, it's like, well, even to think about too is like, how do you think it would have been handled if, let's say, when you were running the store with our district leader at that time and all that things? You think would you personally have just said, hey, you know what, we're closing down shop right now? Absolutely. Or would you have followed the instruction of, let's say, the corporate at that point?
I think you knew my style. I did, and explained. Well, I never asked for permission. I always asked for forgiveness.
Yeah, so you always told me it's easier.
Because if you want to see, if I am a store leader, right, hence the title, I'm going to lead the store the way I deem fit. Heck, I gotten a few visits. I don't know if you recall, they'd come in and they'd try to, tell me this and that, right? Mm-hmm. Especially Top Stock. Oh my gosh. Top Stock was always a thorn in my side because they'd tell me, take it down. And I'm like, well, then how would my visitors, my guests, my customers, my regulars know I have it in stock if it's all shoved in the back room, right? Mm-hmm. Am I going to print out a list and show it? And I go, no, it's going to be up here because I'm going to sell it, right? There are some things I made adjustments for because I knew it made sense. But I always said, hey, nobody knows the store better than I do, and my team. So, you're coming around, you're making all these rounds, but you don't understand. It's this way because, of the demographic, the type of clientele I deal with, the savory, unsavory.
Yeah, right, unsavory.
And, I understand what you're trying to tell me. You're giving me a blanket response, but it doesn't apply. So in my, role as a store leader, I would definitely round up staff, even those that weren't in, and go, hey, you know what's going down. How do you feel about it? What are your concerns, right? Mm-hmm. And, okay, collectively, I will then make a decision and ultimately, safeguard not only my health, the health of my staff, the health of my regulars. I get it. Games, I've been waiting on Doom Eternal for a while, but, what's more important, my health or Doom Eternal?
Right.
It's Doom Eternal. I'm just kidding.
There is Doom Eternal.
It's my health, so I can live to play that game, right? So, it's like the horse before the carriage makes more sense, right? Not the carriage before the horse. So
yeah, so even with me when I was running the store, I felt like even if I wanted to take executive decision to close the store down, my district manager would come in and be like, oh, no, we're opening her back up, or why did you close down, And even if you had all the proper reasons, went through all the proper procedures, it was always almost like as if you still did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You still pulled the wrong...
Put it in Workday so I can give you a proper response too via Workday.
Yeah.
As we are gamers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know the golden rule, right? If you're going to play the game, play the game. What does that mean? It's applicable to everyone. Yeah. You figure that out. But yeah, if you really want to say, hey, you want to put my health and my team's health at risk, then you be the one to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be the hand that, is going to get slapped for it. If anything, I'd rather be shamed for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Than,
glorified
really,
for not for following procedure.
And I think the very first step everyone should take is being informed, right? Not just, knee-jerk reactions to every post they see, right? Do a little bit of research, reach out to your public health officials. You got websites, too, with all constant updates. Don't just watch NBC, watch ABC. Don't watch just CNN. Dare I say, watch Fox,
I say,
dip
your foot in everything.
Yeah, cross-reference. Yeah. Put the radio on. Talk to your peoples.
Don't just, this is something I see people do all the time. Don't just read the headlines. Because that's very all clickbait stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, I hate
you got to read the actual information because the headline sometimes is, a lot of times, it's very misleading. And I see a lot of people do this. And I'm just, even some of my friends do it, and they'll just be like, oh, they read the headline, they respond to the headline, and I go and I read the article, I'm like, the headline does not say everything. The stuff you're complaining about is addressed in the article, and it makes sense, but you didn't read it.
Yeah. Yeah, read it in its entirety, understand it, cross-reference, and then shake a few trees around your, friendly forest and see what other people are experiencing. And, hey, what do they do at your job? What are they doing at your work? What kind of work do you do? And then you'll have an overall understanding, right, of what would be the best adjustment. But, yeah, you can't just make some decisions off the top of your hip when other people are involved.
Right. Yeah,
exactly.
And I gotta say, even though I never worked with Perfect Survey, I've witnessed his actions, while he was working with GameStop, and I can tell you this is not all talk. He has gone. I've seen him gone against corporate and district or regional and P&L word before, such as running tournaments.
Oh yeah, he showed me the pro tips of how to take on corporate, but in the right way.
I know you had that visit too about from district about throwing away DS cases and selling them just a cartridge, and you were just like, no. They straight rejected that idea, no. And you were just like, because I sell them, I sell them way better when they have the cases. They can't say anything. They're just like, okay,
well, it's like they don't really understand value at that point too as well. It's like these cases have value in themselves as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
gosh.
any kind of like Chrono Trigger that came through with the box, like you could sell that quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, any of the Pokemons that come through,
yeah.
Any of those,
fan
like,
would
good condition case, quick.
You got that case?
You know,
Yeah, I mean, I even did a calculated shrink, and that's a whole nother conversation. You know,
so I learned quite a bit about calculated shrink from good old Perfect Survey. Well, the same thing too is like you have to spend money to be able to make money. You have to find out what you can, like you said, professionally find ways that you can take those, like let's say those not precautions, take those risks, but still be able to answer to how it helps the business.
Yeah.
You're not just taking shrink just to take shrink. No, this is why it helped, and this is how it helps.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, like, you know, anyone who's listening that you're a leader, don't do that. Don't just be like, oh yeah, I'm doing it this way because I'm the leader. Yeah, but you got to have an actual an actual good reason.
You have to speak to your business.
Yeah,
you know, you have to be able to speak.
That's a good leader right there. You're not just doing it just to do it. You're not just doing it because someone else suggested you do it. You're doing it and you put some thought into why it works.
Yeah, and sometimes the best leader is the leader that relies on his team. You know,
exactly.
There's the arrogant leader that thinks, "Oh, I've been doing this for years and I know everything."
That's a lot of, honestly.
And then all my staff wouldn't be able to function without me. The right leaders, if it wasn't for my staff, I wouldn't be so successful. And sometimes you got to trust your staff on making decisions for you. You know, you are the voice, but at the same time, you might not be the mind. You know. That's why, for me, it was, I didn't really do it to be the hot shot, I did it because I wanted it to make sense for everyone. Not only our, regulars, but most importantly, my second family, the people that I worked with, I saw every day. It was more than just, hey, we're working retail, we're hitting these numbers. It's like, is your energy where it needs to be? Are you happy? Because I think a lot of people work at GameStop because they have this this vision, right? That, oh man, if I work here, all I got to do is talk about games. It's not even going to feel like a job, right?
So, yeah.
And I'm going to get a lot of games at a discount. See? So, but the reality sinks in and it's no longer a me thing. It's a we thing, and we heavily involves, everybody that sets foot in the door. And, you interact with that more than you do with the corporate mind. You got to trust the corporations to a certain extent because you're not the business owner, right? You're not the person that understands financial control, product planning, and all the grand scale stuff, how to keep other people's jobs, right? You're not the giving tree, right? But you are the farmer and you are the one that is providing, right? So you got to work with them too. And I think that's another thing I've always experienced was there was always this hierarchy, this caste system, this vertical orientation in the business, right? When ultimately it's truly horizontal. Some people get paid more because they have more responsibilities, right? I've seen regional directors lose their job because they didn't deliver, right? We've seen it. We've seen all people lose all types of positions.
We've seen plenty of turnover
because they didn't deliver, right? Turnover. And I've seen people that didn't deliver move up, because sometimes it's just who you know.
Just the politics of the game, yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to move up. But even when I started, I could have went into management, but I wanted to start from the ground, and just so if I did rise up, not only people could respect, hey, you've been in my shoes, so I can respect that, but so I could know what the challenges are at each position and how to help them, succeed. And I'm all about coaching and promoting, right? There's a few out there that are definitely have listened, applied it, and it's shown. And for me, I take no credit. It's what we, on a human level, even during this time of crisis, should be like. We should be interested in other people shining, right? Doing well. There's your haters and then your congratulators. I'd rather be a congratulator. So.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, solid. I think that's been a pretty good session. I think that's where we can get cut off.
Yeah, I'm looking over at Tradehole. He's just like, whoa.
Oh wait, it's not Trade Zone or Destro. It's Trade Hold and Distro.
Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, thanks to everyone who has listened. We got to shut it down.
No, appreciate you.
Man, this was a great session.
Even though COVID's out there, we're in quarantine. For some reason, our store is still open.
Yeah.
Even though we dropped the gate, but
Yep. We're still having people in here like fraternizing.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, and you'll be invited to another one pretty soonish.
Really? Oh, okay. I thought this was my last. Yeah.
No, not even.
You guys, with you guys putting your heads down and shaking it back and forth, I figured.
Nope. Welcome back.
This guy.
Right? All he does is play League of Legends.
Can I do the catchphrase at the end?
We don't have one yet, but I think if you wanna go for it, yeah.
All right. So, and then one last little thing too as well. I know we haven't really reached out, but thank you guys for listening. Anybody who's out there is listening. Anybody that feels like they do have a solid topic or wants to add to our conversations, please reach out to us. We'd love to have you.
For sure.
And thank you for listening to Closing Staff Podcast, because if you're opening, you're by yourself.